You know how every season there's that one player everyone says will make or break the year? The so-called X factor? Well, things have just taken a major turn for the Cowboys, and this time, the spotlight is on someone you might not have expected. We're talking about a player whose importance to this team is undeniable, but whose preseason hasn't exactly inspired confidence. Before I tell you who it is, I want you to think about who you would have guessed. Is it someone on defense? Maybe a big-name rookie? Or even a veteran we're all keeping an eye on? When the first reports came out calling a certain Cowboy the team's most concerning X-Factor for 2025, my mind immediately went to Maisie Smith. It just made sense. High draft pick, inconsistent performance, and a team still figuring out how best to use him on the defensive line. But as it turns out, I was way off. The player in question isn't Mozzie at all, and it's not even someone on the defensive side of the ball. Instead, the focus is on the offense, and specifically on keeping Dak Prescott healthy and productive. According to a breakdown from Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, Dallas can't realistically compete for the NFC East title without a healthy Dak, and the man protecting his blind side is absolutely critical to that equation. That man is second-year left tackle Tyler Guyton. Now, here's where things get tricky. Guyton has already been hit with a setback before the season has even started. The news? A knee injury, later confirmed as a bone fracture. No surgery required, but it's still a 4 to 6 week recovery. And with the clock ticking toward week 1, the question becomes whether he'll be ready. And if he is, will he play at the level Dallas needs? But before we get too deep into his injury update and last year's performance, I want to hear from you. When you first heard Cowboys XFactor, who popped into your mind? Drop your answer in the comments and let's see how many of you nailed it. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. We're pushing hard towards 16,000 subscribers, and your support makes a huge difference. Tyler Guyton's injury has been one of the most talked about stories of Cowboys camp, and for good reason. At first, when word got out that he was hurt, the fear was that it could be a season-ending ACL tear. That would have been a nightmare scenario for this offense. Thankfully, the diagnosis was far less severe, a bone fracture in his knee that won't require surgery. The recovery timeline is estimated at 4 to 6 weeks, which keeps the door open for him to return by the season opener. That's the good news. The not-so-good news is that this isn't just about being ready for week 1. It's about how Guyton plays once he's back. Last year, as a rookie, he didn't exactly light the league on fire. In fact, according to Pro Football Focus, he ranked 115th out of 140 qualifying tackles. That's a number you can't ignore. The Cowboys drafted him to be a cornerstone on the offensive line, especially at a position as critical as left tackle, and instead he's coming into year 2 with more questions than answers. The pressure is massive. When you're protecting Dak Prescott's blind side, one missed block can change the entire game, or even the season. We've seen in years past how quickly things can spiral if Dak isn't well protected. It's not just about sacks. It's about how constant pressure affects decision-making, timing, and the entire offensive rhythm. Cowboys fans are split on what to expect. Some believe Guyton's rookie struggles were simply growing pains and that he's ready to take a big leap forward. Others worry that an injury this early will set him back before he's even had a chance to prove himself. And honestly, both sides have valid points. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Tyler Guyton will be ready and effective by the opener? Or is Dallas going to be scrambling to fill that spot until he's fully healthy? Let me know in the comments. And if you think he's going to bounce back strong, hit that like button to show your confidence. And remember, if you're subscribed, you'll get every injury update the moment it happens. One of the most interesting angles in all of this is the role that Coach Brian Schottenheimer is playing. When he first came to Dallas, many fans, myself included, weren't entirely sold on the hire. There were plenty of questions about his experience and whether he could get the most out of a high-profile offense like this. But over the course of training camp and his media appearances, a pattern has started to emerge. Schottenheimer is all about building a family atmosphere, creating a team-first mentality, and helping players trust each other and themselves. And Tyler Guyton is benefiting from that. The coach has been publicly praising Guyton's work ethic and approach to rehab, pointing out that he's been putting in the effort even in slow speed, controlled reps. It's not just about physical readiness. It's about mental preparation. According to Schottenheimer, Guyton is attacking his rehab with intensity, and that kind of commitment can make a huge difference when he's back on the field. Confidence and mindset often get overlooked, but they can define a player's entire season. Even Jerry Jones has weighed in, giving a cautiously optimistic update. He noted that the possibility of Guyton playing in Week 1 looks good, but emphasized that Dallas needs him not just healthy, but also performing better than he did last year. That's fair. The team's success depends on the offensive line stabilizing quickly. And right now, Guyton is the lone question mark among an otherwise solid group of blockers. Here's where I want you to chime in. Do you trust Schottenheimer's approach to get the best out of this offense, especially with players like Guyton? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I want to see how the real Cowboys fans feel about the coach's family culture approach and whether it will pay off this season. Now let's talk about the what-if scenario. What happens if Tyler Guyton isn't ready for Week 1? The Cowboys can't afford uncertainty at left tackle, and that's why this spot has been one to watch throughout training camp and preseason. So far, there's been a bit of a rotation as coaches test different options, which is exactly what you'd expect when they're trying to find the right combination before the season starts. One option could be Asim Richards, who has some experience at left tackle and has shown flashes of reliability. Another candidate might be Cornelius Johnson, a sixth-round pick this year, who has been getting some looks in practice. Even Phil Maffa, a seventh-rounder, impressed in the preseason game against the Rams, showing that the rookies could potentially handle the responsibility if called upon. The key will be whether the coaching staff is willing to trust these younger players with such a critical role, especially when protecting Dak Prescott's blind side is non-negotiable. This is where the preseason games become incredibly important. They're not just about winning, they're about evaluation. The coaches are observing every rep, every adjustment, and every decision to figure out who is ready and capable. How the left tackle spot shakes out could dramatically affect the offensive strategy in the opener. And don't forget, this is a position where stability matters more than anything. The offensive line needs chemistry and trust, and that doesn't happen overnight. I want to hear from you. Who would you trust if Guyton can't go? Would you roll with a rookie like Johnson or Maffa, or stick with someone more experienced like Richards? Leave your pick in the comments, and let's see which solution the Cowboys fans would rally behind. Also, if you think the team should take a bold move and test the young talent right away, hit that like button. Let's show some support for these rising stars. At the end of the day, Guyton's readiness will set the tone for the offensive line, and the Cowboys have to be prepared no matter what. Whether it's testing rookies or leaning on backups, this preseason is shaping up to be more critical than ever. Week 1 isn't far off, and every decision made now will ripple through the entire season. That's why the left tackle position is such a hot topic, and why Guyton's injury has everyone on edge. Now that we've covered Tyler Guyton and the left tackle situation, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The real X factor for the Cowboys this season might not be a single player at all. In fact, I'm leaning toward the running back room as the group that could truly define how this offense performs. Think about it. If the Cowboys can establish a solid, trustworthy running game, it completely changes the dynamics of the offense. Last season, the team relied heavily on passing, and we all saw the ups and downs that came with that. This year, with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Deuce Vaughn, and rookies like Phil Maffa, there's a chance to add balance and unpredictability. When this group performs together, the offense becomes much more two-dimensional. which is exactly what Dak Prescott needs to thrive. It's not just about raw talent, it's about execution, timing, and staying healthy. Each back brings a different skill set, and if one or more of them steps up early in the season, the Cowboys suddenly have a weapon set that defenses can't easily plan for. Add in the possibility of using players like Hunter Lipke in a fullback role or Conti Turpin in the Wildcat, and you've got a creative, versatile backfield that could keep opponents off balance. Of course, nothing is guaranteed. Injuries, chemistry, and game day decisions all factor in. But this is why I'm calling the running backs the X Factor. Their collective performance could swing games, open up the passing attack, and take pressure off Dak Prescott. And let's not forget, the offensive line still plays a huge role. If Guyton and the rest of the line can hold up, it gives this backfield a real chance to shine. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think will be the breakout back this season? Will it be Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Phil Maffa, or someone else entirely? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me why. I love reading your insights and debating the possibilities. And if you're as excited as I am to see how this group impacts the season, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. We've got a lot of breakdowns coming, and you don't want to miss a single update. At the end of the day, the X Factor could be Tyler Guyton, it could be Dak Prescott's health, or it could be this dynamic running back room. One thing is clear, the 2025 Cowboys season is full of possibilities, and the answers will start revealing themselves in those first few games. Buckle up, because this season is shaping up to be a wild ride.